and a bird, and we were like, have you ever seen either of those things? They were just so, like, they were unrecognizable, and we were all just like erupted in laughter. And I remember Aunt Liz like cackling at the same time, and it was just so wonderful to see her laughing so hard and so loud, and it was just really wonderful, and that's one of my favorite memories.
Liz, number one. Who are you?
I am Anne's
Daughter.
And Tony.
yes.
When Dave come walking down, they came in last night, picked them up at the airport, so they both came in yesterday, and so they slept at our house. But when he came down the stairs this morning, that brought one of the memories. Because when they came back to stay, when Liz came to stay with us, she was pretty much in a wheelchair the whole time. And to see her going about the house. But anyways, they would come at various times, maybe Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever. I don't know, maybe 3 times or 4 that you guys came while Liz was here. But again, she loved to talk, and she was a commanding presence. So and Dave would sit down on the couch and put the leg up in his relax, and you turn around, turn back again, and there Liz, right? She'd just get right up there, scoop the wheels right on each side of his legs, and Dave wasn't going anywhere. She had a captive audience. So if you want to talk and you don't feel like coming up here, you can talk where you're at. That's fine.
Huh? Stay where I'm at, okay. So I guess I'll start with something more recent. I'm Terry, Liz's foster son. A lot of you know me or of me. Been with her since I was 2 years old, so that's, I don't want to say how old I am. 40-something years ago. But one of my, we talked about different nursing homes that she had been in the last few years, and I remember visiting her kind of regularly at one of them, and I thought it was Mother's Day. And I asked her what she wanted for Mother's Day, because she loved her food, we all know that. So I'm thinking it was going to be like steak or shrimp or something like that. She had gotten, in the years before that, hooked on Domino's wings. She wanted the bone-in, plain, sauce on the side, that's what she, and this is, and I'm like, I'm going to bring Domino's wings for Mother's Day. Like, I'm thinking how that's going to look on me. This is what you do for your mother. So, but I thought it really weird, because every time that I had come there or brought her food, we always went to her room. And this time when I got there, she was waiting in the lobby for me, and I said, "Well, are we going back to the room?" She said, "No, let's just stay in the lobby. Come on, And it just seemed odd to me, and I hadn't gotten napkins, so I went and I asked one of the ladies for napkins. Of course, she had started eating. And the lady was like, "Yeah, we have napkins." She's like, "Who's your mom?" And I was like, "Elizabeth." And she said, "Oh, no, you wait right here." And she went and she came back with 3 other women. And I had already walked back over by Liz, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And they came over and they were like, "Liz, you know you're supposed to be fasting for your tests tomorrow." This is why she met me in lobby, because she had gone back to her room. They would have called her. And you should have seen the way that she just flowed. She's like, "Well, it's too late now." Her sense of humor. She's like, "Well, it's too late now." So that was just one of the more recent things. I thought I'd start with a little bit of humor, and but no, since childhood, she, as a foster kid, she gave me a great childhood. I mean, I have so many memories, even from Grandma Goosey's house to Ed and Becky and Ann and just everything. And June and Mike. I mean, just a lot of childhood memories, to where a lot of foster kids, I know I'm in that like top 10%. I mean, we traveled, we went swimming, she would teach all day and then take us, me and Andy, to play tennis for 3 hours at tennis tournaments, and that was a lot of my childhood, and I remember all of that, and going to Jim and Jerry's. Even childhood playing basketball with, Holly and Jenny. Of course, they were older and taller, so they could beat me, and nobody likes to be beat by a girl. that was a lot. And like a lot of people have said, she was very kind to other people, opened her home to people. I've lived with her in all three of her houses. So through different stages of decades of life, you know, I have lived with her. She helped take care of me, I helped take care of her, and just a great woman and very spiritual. So that's about all I have to say.
Thank you.
Yep.
I know Ann's got something. Who else? Come on.
So, I'm Jewel. I am Liz's favorite nephew. Or at least in the running, top two. Maybe neck and neck. For those of you who don't know, and that's pretty much everybody, I have crippling social anxiety. Nobody knows that because my mouth is always running, and it's a good cover. But you know, if you guys feel like you have anything you want to share, and you're kind of like, should I come up? Check out this train wreck, because none of it's rehearsed, none of it's even very well thought out. So, but I did want to speak because Aunt Liz was very, very special to me. So, one of her maxims, if you will, was it's not what you're being given, it's, you know, what you do with it. So I'm going to try to stay true to that. Liz, in many ways, was kind of like a second mom to all of us kids. You know, it's not that we needed a second mother. I love my mom; she was great. But and our house was full of love, but it was also a feral sort of environment. There was 9 of us in one bathroom, and so, like, you know, while there was lots of love, we were almost constantly in a state of war, often divided by sexes, and the bathroom was the hamburger hill. That was what we, you know, generally fought over. But so when we would go, and Andy's just a couple months off of my age, and so we grew up also with Terry. But you know, we were like just a few months apart, so we grew up almost as brothers, he and I. And I would go sometimes during the summers too. And Aunt Liz was always just so approachable. You could talk to her, not in a way that you, well, my dad wasn't always as approachable. And my mom, I love her so much. But sadly, she never considered herself an expert in anything. And she didn't have Aunt Liz's self-confidence, which was not given to Aunt Liz. Grandma Stella, I mean, I grew up with a very older version, more mellow version of Grandma Stella. Grandma Stella and I we were buds. But Grandma Stella was much more severe in the 50s and 60s. She was not, she did not build up Liz, you know, and she didn't have to. She was, you know, back in the 50s, you know, she was, you know, she had one son to carry on the name, and then the other 3 were in the seminary or the convent. So, like, in the 1950s, that kind of made you a boss bitch. So, she didn't have to build up anyway. She was already winning. So, you know, there was a lot where you were talking about the sewing. I still remember her sewing. But, I mean, back in the day, according to Grandma Stella, she couldn't sew. She couldn't cook. You know, she wasn't attractive. but you'd never find a husband. These are the things that Grandma Stella would tell Aunt Liz, and she was wrong about all of them. So it's not what you are given, it's what you do with it. And she brought herself to a level of assertion and calm listening, and she was that person you could tell anything to. And that led to conversations about spirituality. Because once you got comfortable with the ordinary world, like, okay, like, you know, how far are we going to go with this? You know, like, do you have anything else you want to teach me? And it was more of a conversation, more of something you would talk about than actual, you know, dictate what I should be thinking. There was plenty of room to grow my own mind on it. But anyway, the spirituality that I have today, I credit for Aunt Liz for the room that she gave me. And so yeah, so that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Before Ann speaks?
I have a fun little story.
Thank you, Amber. And then Jim will come up next.
Hi, Amber, Ann's oldest, the best one, obviously. I just have a cute little story. When I was, I don't know, in my 20s, I have my beautiful son with me. He was very small, probably 2 or 3 years old. And Aunt Liz's house, I can't remember if she had a fall or why I was there, to be honest. It could have just been like a quick weekend refuge. You know, her house was always open if you needed it. But Evan and I had gone there, and she was doing this big elaborate puzzle. And Evan, who is small at the time, kept touching the puzzle, and I was freaking out. You know, like, he's gonna wreck this puzzle. And at one point, Evan just like looked at me, and he just swiped the whole thing. And I was like, oh my God. And Aunt Liz just laughed. And I was like, what's going on? Like, I expected just doom and gloom and, you know, punishment. And she just laughed and was like, it's a puzzle. Like, he's a kid. Get over it. So, you know, it just was, you know, her lightheartedness and her ability to see things for what they were.
Thank you. Jim?
I just wanted to say that Liz was always her own person, and she always had a mind of her own. And it goes back to when we were kids, and I was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. So Liz would have been 11 or 12. And of course my mother would prepare the food, and that's what you ate. And of course Liz was a very fussy eater. I don't know why at that time. She wasn't. But anyway, at this one occasion, my mother gave her fried potatoes, which she didn't want to eat. And Liz somehow got them into the back porch behind a pull-out sleeper and dumped them back there. And which it took my mother about a week and a half to find them. But she did what she wanted.
Right.
Hi, everybody. I just want to let everyone know that Liz had a very welcoming heart. I was not part of her family until I met her son, and we dated for a very long time. I broke up with him, and Liz said, well, where are you going to go? Why don't you just move in with me? And I said, okay. And she became the mother that I never had. And we were close. We did things together every day. And I'm going to miss her much. I have a deep respect for her, and I always will. And that's all I have to say.
How much time do we have?
We're
10 after.
Yeah.
We need to,
I'll let you, and then I've got to wrap up. And then
I'm just gonna say one short thing, you know, to remind you, continue sharing as we're over there eating, but one of the sweet things, one of my favorite verses is in Deuteronomy 23:12, and it's, Moses is giving the people directions. They're in the tent, they have come out of Egypt, so they're the wanderers, they're in camping mode, and you know what you're doing when you're camping. He said, when you go outside of the camp to relieve yourselves, take with you a tool, you know, to go and make sure it's buried. You know what he's talking about. You know, what we call the grosser things in life, some of the things that we, you know, that we shared with Liz, you know, that, you know, were important, you know, are also the sweet things. It is, those little things are the reality. That's part of Scripture, to me, is the reality of God's presence. Because there was a mess outside the camp that the people left, and God says, I, the Lord, walk among you to watch over you. He didn't want to step in their mess. The reality of God and the reality of life, it's the little sweet things that, you know, to give in life, you know. So, you know, there's little sweet things that Liz gave us, you know. Share. I know June and Mike have some. I know more. I know my sister, Sherry, have some more to share. So.
I want to straighten out something so that this is not like I was the person in the back seat with her. No, I think I was, yeah, I was in the back seat with another guy. And she was in the front seat with this other guy. And we were outside the bar, and I want you to know that I was the one that talked her out of going in the bar and got them on the straight and narrow. And because I kept asking, what do you think they want? You know, in retrospect now, I say to myself, was I so naive? I was. Okay. And she was. But I'm her, is anybody here? No, I shouldn't say that, maybe you might, Low Polish, if you know what Low Polish is, that's, the word we used to use is kamushki, she and I. We used to use that word because it connoted that it was the people that were not, you know, she'd always say to me, I'm on the wrong side of the tracks, Drew. And I would say, why do you say that? Because I never felt that she was on the wrong side of the track. But she felt she was. And that's who she really felt she was. And I tried to set her straight like I did try to set those guys straight, which I think I accomplished because she was ready to go off into the bar with them. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Well, no, I mean, I'm sure they had higher thoughts. Anyway, so, but we'll miss her. We'll miss her. If anybody's crying for her, they better be cheers of joy, because that's what she wanted, was to leave. That's what she wanted. And we came to visit her this last Easter, and I know I know the feeling of what she's on. She never said anything that direct. You know, we never talked really. Well, we talked about dying, but anyway, she and I were on mission together. If you know what mission is, you were sent to a designation, and she and I were designated in the same spot. So we laughed a lot, talked a lot, and had a room together. And people would tease us all the time, which really tells you something. We would be constantly told that, or saying on the QT that we would be, if you know what grand silence is, we couldn't break the silence when we were in the convent. And she and I never broke the silence. And that's something that people thought we did. And she'd say, I don't know why they think that. I said, I don't know why they think that. because we talk a lot. Yeah, we laugh a lot. And anyway, but just know that she and I were just honest to the core, and faithful to the core. Right?
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, she went through our journey with us, so, my husband and I. So, anyway.
So, thank you so much, everyone, that's awesome. Think about anything, you know, we're going from here to Creekside for the meal. So think of, you know, different stories to share. I'll be, pulling them out. They're mandatory. Other things that are mandatory that I forgot about. So these, the plant arrangements are individual. So take a plant. So you can, oh, look at that, you can take one individual, oh, look at that. So, take a plant. Take something off the back table, several pictures, angel, whatever. I should have brought bags, but you have arms, you have purses, you have significant others to carry things for you. So please, please, please take something with you. From here, we will be going to Creekside, which is 102 Maple Street. So if you go to Main Street and just go straight down, you'll go to Maple Street, and it's right there. So,
So we turn right on Main or what?
I just found somebody from the front.
So when you go down Fifth Street here, this is Fifth Street right out here.
yes, this is Fifth Street.
Then you're gonna go down, you're gonna take a right at the stop sign. That'll be Main Street. You're gonna take Main Street all the way into town, and you're gonna come up to the stop signs. That'll be the bank, Rock and Roll's restaurant on the right. You're gonna go through that one block down. Then it'll be Maple Street.
Yes, yes.
You take a right there.
And then it's just a block over.
We
Same
can,
place Amber got married,
we can Carabine and Convoy too.
grandma's service, yep. And so as we file out, as you are taking your plants and your pictures and your mementos, we will listen to Celine Dion's My Way.
Thank you to Adam and Ward Hurtley Funeral Home. Yeah, and that's.
That's really pretty.